Welcome back to the Southern Appalachian Anglers YouTube channel. My name is Ethan Hallfield, and in today's video I'm going to show y'all one of my confidence fly patterns. It's a super easy tie. I don't really know where I got the inspiration of it from. It's kind of a combination between like a Waltz worm and a hare's ear and a lot of influences in like the European fly fishing scene, hence the jig head and the red tag and all that jazz. But it doesn't really look like anything. I think that's magic behind it. I've caught a lot of fish on this fly, and nice thing about it as well is it's sort of like a blank canvas. You can take what I show you here, just follow a general setup, and you can mix match as many sizes and colors as you want. Possibilities with it are virtually endless. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it here. One of the things that makes this fly work so well is it's got an oversized tungsten bead for the hooks. That's a size 16 jig hook, and that's an 1/8 inch tungsten bead. I like to oversize them just a little bit. It helps with the sink rate. I also like to keep my flies as slim as possible. It's another thing I think makes them so effective, as I was dropping a lot faster in a water column as opposed to some other flies that are bulkier. So thread choice doesn't really matter that much. I'm just going to use something relatively thin just to keep up with the same idea of having a thin profile. I've got some 12-aught Vivas here. I'm just going to start right there behind the bead. I'm not going to worry about the bead being loose or anything. We'll fix that in just a minute. Just put down a thin thread layer. I'm going to go all the way down here, almost to the bend. I like to keep my flies pretty short. Now for the tag material, that little red tag we had there on the end, I just used leftover threads. This is some Danville 140 denier. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but it's just a fluorescent orange color. And all I do is just take just a little bit of that thread, a leftover thread. We'll get our two ends of it kind of conjoining here. And it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be even, but what we're going to do is we're just going to lay this on our hook shank, make one wrap, two wraps right there just to hold it in place. And once we get that on there, we're just going to cut that excess off. All right, so for the ribbon, and this is sort of an optional thing, it's more of a confidence thing for me anymore at this point, but what I'm going to do is we're going to take just a little bit of just pearl flash boo. And just the same thing, we're just going to tie this in as well. This stuff's so light, though, you don't really need to lock it in with 4 or 5 wraps. You can just take one, if I can get it to cooperate with me here, one loose wrap right there. Wherever it falls, and that's fine. And our additional ribbon material is just some very thin wire. You can go with whatever color your heart desires here for this one. I'm just going to use black because that's what I've got closest to me. And the wire here really is just to keep that flash boo or the tinsel or whatever you want to use. It just makes it a little bit more durable, because after 2 or 3 fish, the flash boo tends to get ripped apart pretty easy. But I'm just going to put 2 wraps in. I'm going to pull back towards me. It's going to lock everything in place. Now I'm ready to put in my dubbing. So again, as far as dubbing goes, whatever color you want, that is completely up to you. I like, more natural tones personally. I'll use this in like an olive, hare's ear, regular hare's ear, black, UV peacock. This is like just some peacock dubbing I found actually in my fly tying stuff that I got way back when I was a kid. I don't even know what the brand of this stuff is, but almost makes it look like it's got some like Christmas tree colors in it, some red, some yellow, some green and blue. It's just got a little bit of everything. But as far as colors go, that is always up to you. One thing when you're dubbing though, make sure you start out very thin, because we can add more. Well, it's always harder to take it off. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to build up a very thin dubbing loop. As you can see, I'm continuously twisting, and that's going to help spread that down the thread a little bit better. And what we're going to do, we're just going to start wrapping forward. I'll make one wrap. Whoop, a little bit too forward there. Let's put it right there. There we go. That's where it's going to live. And once you lock it in, it actually becomes a little bit easier to then get it just a smidge tighter. So we're going to get that tightened up. Start wrapping our way forward. And it starts to loosen up on you a little bit, just go back in, tighten it up, and then come forward. This is a super easy fly, and especially if you're guiding, this is a handy one to know, because you can crank out a bunch of these in a night before a trip and have a bunch ready to rock and roll. And what I'm going to do, it doesn't really matter which way you wrap it. That's completely up to you, but I'm just going to start wrapping this flash of boo around. Not that this fly needs any more flash, but it certainly don't It don't hurt, I don't think. Just gonna end it right there behind the bead. Don't have to look pretty. We'll clean it up in just a bit. Just a couple loose wraps. I'm taking my time because I got my camera close to where I'm tying here. I don't want to accidentally knock it over. Just gonna put just a couple wraps right there. Don't have to be anything fancy. We'll clip that off real close. And then for your wire, what we're gonna do, the idea behind having the wire, like I said in the first place, is to help protect that tinsel more than anything. And the way you do that is by counter wrapping. So we're going to wrap it the opposite way, whichever way we wrapped it. And it doesn't have to be even. You do not have to exactly match that flash boot. It's just there for a little extra assurance, just so you get a little bit more life out of that fly. And there's one wrap in front, one wrap behind, one wrap in front. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull that thread toward me and give it some tension. We'll helicopter that wire right off. Okay, and then just to finish it up, we'll just add a little bit more of this peacock looking dubbing here. You can add whatever you want though. You can build up a hot spot with your thread. You could add a slightly different dubbing color for contrast, but right there, that is it. Now, one little tip when you're whip finishing, because I see this a lot in fly time videos, and this will help make your fly a lot more durable. So one thing you want to do when you're whip finishing, so we'll go, with our standard whip finish, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whenever I undo it and get that pulled out of the tool, I see a lot of people at this point, they just leave it hanging right there and then they clip it off. Just like a fishing knot, what you want to do is you want to make sure you pull back on that thread just a little bit, and that's going to lock that thread down on top of itself. If you don't cinch that down, even if you super glue it, after a while, it's just going to come unraveled. So I'll show you again. There's 1, 2, 3 turns, pull down. Just gonna barely pull back towards me, and you'll feel it kind of slip a little bit. If you feel that slip, you know that you've locked it in place. What we'll do there, we'll just clip off our thread there, and I haven't forgot about the back end of it yet. You can honestly leave it like this. I don't think it really matters that much, but we'll just go ahead for aesthetic purposes and see if these dull scissors will cut it. There we go. It doesn't have to be pretty. And we'll just kind of push it back with our finger right there and get all those individual fibers separated, and that is it. This fly kind of plays on the idea again that your presentation means more than your fly pattern actually does. Take this fly, you can do a lot of different things with it, but at the end of the day, you being out there fishing and focusing on what you're doing means more than anything else. But feel free to give this one a shot out to your fly box, and if you have any other questions or have any other suggestions for any other videos you'd like to see, just feel free to holler at us at SouthernAppalachianAnglers.com. Appreciate y'all watching, and tight lines.